Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming to today's seminar. I'm going to go through as much as I can. We only have so much time today, and I'll answer any questions that you have at the end. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I am Jason Judkins. Now, what I do is I talk about how we're taught how life is or should be from our churches, schools, family, TV, radio, and I contrast that with the way how the world really is. So today I'm going to talk about life in general, relationships, religion, work, government, and what the answer to all this is. Now, we all get to choose what type of world we live in. You know, when you're in your own home, you choose to live life however you want to. But at some point, we all have to leave our homes and enter what's called the real world. And I'm just under the belief that whenever you go into work or into a church or whatever, that, I believe that you need an understanding of what is that world that you're entering into. Now, basically, we're all salesmen. Whenever you go out into the world each day, the whole world that you enter into is trying to sell you something. Basically, when you enter life, everybody looks at you and tries to determine what can I use you for. Scientists say that hydrogen is the most abundant thing in the universe. I tend to believe that lying is. That we all lie to each other on a day-to-day basis. And all of us to some degree end up living a lie. And one thing that you have to learn early in life is that you have to look at the world for the way it is, not the way that you think it should be. Now, you've heard people say that it's a dog-eat-dog world. And it really is every man or woman for themselves. So let's start off talking about relationships. Now, at least 90% of your friends, and I would say, 90% is a good number. I actually think it may be higher than this, but 90% of your friends are around you because you can do something for them or, they can use you for something. Now, the second that you're not able to be used anymore, then your friends aren't going to be there anymore because that's the main reason they're there, to better themselves. And now the way it works for a lot of things in life, for you to get something, you first have to give something. And you'll notice that when people are in their late teens and early 20s, they just hang around people that they want to have fun and party with. But once people get around 25 or so and start getting a career and having a family, then they'll start hanging around, people that will further them in their career. Now, not all, but a lot of men marry for looks and a lot of women marry for money. And, when you look at it in that aspect, it's basically a legalized form of prostitution. I'm going to draw a picture of a man and woman up here. I hope that y'all can see this. But if you can't, it's just a stick drawing of a man and a woman. Now, in the dating game, the first thing when two people see each other that are attracted to each other, the first thing they notice is each other's looks. Now, people say that, looks aren't the most important thing. I happen to disagree with that. I believe in reality that your looks may be one of the most important things about your life. I mean, your looks can determine, may determine who you end up with, what type of job you get, just how you're treated generally in society. Now, the first thing this couple will notice about each other are their looks. Now, the second thing the woman's going to notice is how much money does the man have. The third thing that she's going to notice is personality. So first is looks, second is money, third is personality. Now, I don't care what any woman says. They can sit there and say, oh, I want a guy that's sensitive and I want a guy that treats me good. And, you'll hear women say things like this all the time, but really you need to preface that with, I want a good looking guy who will treat me good, or I want a good looking guy, who is sensitive. Now, if you don't have looks, that's the more that you're going to have to make up for it with, money or your personality. Now, the reason I put personality number 3 is because if you're unattractive to whoever it is that you're wanting to date, it doesn't matter if you have the best personality in the world. It's still not going to overcome the number 1, which is your looks. Now, I know that this sounds harsh, and I'm not, a just drop dead good looking guy myself, but I would rather someone be honest with me and tell me the truth, what I needed to do to improve my looks myself so I could get, the person that I wanted to date, whether it was, hey, you need to go work out in the gym, you need to go have LASIK surgery, get rid of your glasses, or, whatever different things you can do. I would rather someone tell me that, even though it is hurtful, and it's being honest, but I would rather be told that than to just be told, oh, well, you're a good person and, you'll find somebody and you'll just have to keep looking because, really you're being told, the same thing. It's just, being sugar coated. So think about it. Who do you like to do favors for? You like to do favors for someone you like. You're not going to do a favor for somebody you don't like. That's just common sense. It could just be as simple as, well, you like to play soccer and you'll go out of your way for someone else who likes soccer. But when it comes down to sex, you can pretty much throw all that out the window because sex is really just a act of lust. And when it comes to sex, it's purely back down to looks. With this same situation, the man and woman here that are attracted to each other sexually, this is not much different than a job interview that, a person can think, well, I don't have the best looks, but, if I can just talk to her, if she can just give me the time of day and, she'll fall in love with my personality because I'm a real charming person. But that's the thing. If you don't have a certain level of looks, you won't even be given a shot. It's no different than a job interview that, people can think the same thing with a job. Man, if they just let me in the door, if they just give me an interview, I can go in there and wow them and, make up for what's, not on my resume. And, that's the similarities is that if you don't have a certain amount of education or a certain amount of things on your resume that employer is looking for, you're not even going to be given the chance to, come in there and talk to them. Now, when talking about this man and woman sexual relationship, now this woman basically looks at this man like, what is he good for? He is good for working and making money. That's his job. And for a lot, now not every situation is this way, but for a lot of relationships, if that man ever gets to the point that he doesn't work anymore or loses his job or has a big cut in pay, he's not going to be useful to her anymore. And, it's the same in reverse that, the man is looking at the woman like, she's there for sex. She's there to, have sex with me at any time that I want. And if she ever gets to the point where she says, hey, I don't want to have sex anymore, then, he's going to sit there and think, well, then this relationship's over. Now, again, women could sit there and say that I want a guy that treats me good. I want a guy that's sensitive or, that's not going to cheat on me or, whatever the things that they say. But then again, just look around you. Who do women lust after, on social media? It's going to be a hot picture of a guy with a shirt off that has a ripped body, or, they're lusting after a country music star or whoever's in the news. And, that's really what women want is the, ripped guy that's on the magazine cover. And, that's really no different than men. It's just that men are more honest about it and women know that. And, women are just not as honest about that. Now, this sexual relationship here between this man and woman, that's no different than what you see on the Animal Channel and the Animal Kingdom. That, you'll see two rams butting heads till one of them dies, to win the female, or male peacocks showing their feathers, and the female will pick whoever has the prettiest feathers. And, this is no different. You can go into any club and, see two people dance. And, like I said, it's no different than the Animal Channel. We're taught that this union here is spiritual, but really when you look at it, it's just, more derived from our evolution. Now, there's a saying that you've probably heard before, that nice guys finish last. And, there's a reason for that, because, a lot of women don't want a nice guy. Back to the Animal Channel, the female doesn't pick the nicest male animal out there. She ends up picking the one that wants it the most, or that wants her the most, or that's willing to fight for her the most. Men's needs here are purely sexual, and women want, what they see growing up in the Cinderella movie, that type of love story. Now, currently the divorce rate is right around 50%. It's been around 50% for a long time, but science is actually now starting to show that, relationships are at their best in the first 4 years. That after that 4-year mark, people start getting bored in their relationships and start to have a wandering eye. And there's actually been scientific studies that in zoos, that female monkeys will mate with the male monkeys for 2 to 3 years. And then after that period, they won't have nothing to do with them anymore. And the zoos actually have to bring in a whole new set of male monkeys, for the females to be interested. So it actually may be women more than men that get tired of having sex with the same person over and over again. But I think a lot of people stay together because of their kids. And I am a firm believer that, kids need to grow up in a stable environment with their mom and their dad. In this situation, that we're taught to be ourselves, but you have to ask yourself, what person do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that, is yourself and you don't get a date? Or would you rather be the person that, tells her what she wants to hear and then you get a date? So basically we're all actors, and the art is, what do I have to tell you in order for you to give me what I want? Now, a lot of men are under the assumption of once they get married, they'll be set in the sex department for the rest of their lives, and that's just not really true. If you're a man, you're going to work just as hard in your 20th year of marriage to get sex as you did in your first year. Actually, you probably had more sex before you got married because the woman was doing what she had to do in order to get a ring on her finger. Now, marriage means something different to everyone. Some people really do value marriage, and there's some women out there that the only reason they got married is because they wanted to go through the wedding day. And once they went through their wedding day, they got a divorce 6 months later. The one thing you can't do is you can't become comfortable in your marriage. If you start to become comfortable with your marriage, then it's probably going to start falling apart. And just like I said before, you're going to work just as hard in year number 20 to keep your marriage together as you did day one. It's just like your job. You're going to work just as hard at your job 20 years into it as you did the first day you were there. Now, another note on sex is that once a woman has a child, she becomes less interested in sex for a time. Her main focus is her newborn baby, and again, that's just part of her evolutionary instincts kicking in. And nothing lasts forever. So, I can't really stress enough to just enjoy the moment that you're in, because, nobody knows the future. If you live too much in the future, or if you live too much in the past, then you're missing out on your life right now. This is something I didn't really know when I was younger, but, even after you get married, nobody really cares about your marriage. Nobody really values your marriage. If you're a guy, you're still going to have other guys hitting on your wife all the time. They don't care that she's married or that, it's going to break your family up or anything. And, that's just another point of marriage is that, that's something you have to deal with. Now back to the dating situation. In order for you to find a date, you have to find somebody that's more desperate than you are. And, this really is supply and demand. The same supply and demand, laws that you learn in economics. This is really no different. As far as the dating thing, if you're a guy, the biggest thing you have to do to get a date with a woman is you have to talk to her. Sometimes it really is just as simple as that. Is that women do not like guys who are shy. Because, if you're shy, that shows that you're not confident. And women like confidence. Now, if you have trouble meeting people, you're going to get a date by going somewhere you go on a regular basis. You're not going to get a date by, going to the grocery store and you've seen somebody for 5 minutes. It's on a regular basis, whether it be at a job or at church or the gym, because, you're going to have to see people a few times before they're going to go on a date with you. And back again on the friends, if you're the type of person that you like to have a lot of friends around you, then you're going to have something that you can give them, or, you're going to have something that you can be used for, because, nothing in life is free. You're going to work, or you're going to pay for, just about everything that you have. All right, let's move on to government. All right, now in the old forms of government, we had kings. Many parts of the world still have dictators, but when we had a king, the problems of the country couldn't really be blamed on anyone else. It all fell on that one person. Well, now we have a two-party system. We have the Democrats and the Republicans. So any problems that the country has now, the Democrats blame it on the Republicans, and the Republicans blame it on the Democrats. And anytime dealing with politics, you have to have someone to blame for the reason why you weren't doing your job. Now, the current form of government that we have is the government is a reflection of the society we have, and the society is a reflection of the government we have. So who runs the government? Big business funds politicians and their campaigns, and then the government gives favors back to big business. And then under this, you have the masses, all of us. Now think about it. We're down here. If I give a candidate $5 towards his campaign, and this business up here gives $1 million to that same candidate, who do you think that candidate is going to be working for? Of course, the person who gave $1 million over the person who gave $5. It's just like there's a saying that money talks and baloney walks. So no matter if it's the Republicans or the Democrats that are in charge, when you look at the cabinets of each administration, the majority of all those people come from Wall Street. There's a revolving door that goes between Wall Street and Washington, D.C., that people leave Wall Street, the business world, to go work in the government, and then people leave government to go work in the business world on Wall Street. Now, it doesn't matter how caring the politician is. The first thing they're looking out for is themselves and to enrich their own pockets. Because ultimately, nobody's going to be looking out for you but you. The only time that you have real change is when the masses come together and force Washington to change. And that's why the elite system up here wants to keep the masses fighting with each other. They want the rich to fight with the poor. They want the liberals to fight with the conservatives, and so on. For the masses, politics isn't much different than a football game. Everybody picks their side, and sometimes your team wins and sometimes your team loses. Politics are probably not much different than a wrestling match, that the Republicans and the Democrats are back behind closed doors and they're, telling each other what they're going to say in front of the camera, that I'm going to go out here, I'm going to say this about you, you say this about me. They go in front of the cameras, they fight with each other, and it looks like they're mad at each other, and then they leave when the cameras are all gone, and, they go have dinner on taxpayer money, but yet, these people are happy because they've seen them fight with each other. That made these people happy, so then, they can go back to their taxpayer-funded party. The government is just about always going to cater to big business because it's just like the saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you. You have right-wing media and you have left-wing media, and really they're not really any different, because with the right-wing media, the Republicans are always right, and with the left-wing media, the Democrats are always right. So, they're both equally just as slanted. We really have a two-tier system. You have big business and government, which is the upper elite, tier 1. Then you have everybody else, the masses, which is tier 2. And I mean, yeah, the masses do get to vote. You do get to have elections, but, you're given a choice between two candidates that were picked by this top tier. And, basically it's like, what do you want to choose, Coke or Pepsi? There's a scandal that comes out in the second term of most presidents in recent history. Reagan had Iran-Contra, Bush had Katrina, and Clinton had Monica Lewinsky. And that's how this system keeps going, is that when a president's in their second term, they're on their way out anyways. So a scandal comes out, that angers the public, and, they kick the guy out. It makes them happy. You bring the next guy in, you're happy because he's going to bring change, and then another 6 years goes by, and, the same process repeats. And that's how the elite keep everybody fooled. Now, most businesses contribute money to both parties equally, pretty much. That, they'll give just as much money to the Democrats as they do the Republicans, because they want, to be on the government's good side, no matter who's in charge. Now, there was a late night talk show host that, never come out and said what he was politically, whether he was a Republican or a Democrat, because, he didn't want to anger half of his audience. Because if he had come out and said that he was a Democrat, then, 50% of his viewership would go away. And, he was doing what was best for his wallet. And, I want to ask you, then why would you want to say you were a Republican or Democrat? Because then you would alienate, half of the people that might do business with you. And, this was a talk show host that, could have made a political stand and went on TV and, really brought change, but, he decided to put his wallet first and, not get political. And, I asked you the same question, why not put your wallet first and not get political? Let's say you're a plumber, for example, and you're a diehard Republican, and you let that be known, publicly. And you probably just potentially, lost 50% of your business because people that are Democrats might not, do business with you. And, I would say, why not do what these people do and, not take a stand publicly, just, keep your political opinions to yourself, that way you can get 100% of the business. And I ask the same question. If these people in big business won't take a stand politically because it'll hurt their business, then why should you? You hear people gripe all the time. They'll say the country's, broken, or, these things need to be fixed, with the country. And, you have to ask, well, who ruined the country or who made it the way it is? A lot of people get mad about people on welfare and food stamps and, even though they're receiving the benefits, they didn't, set the rules. Who created the system that we have? It was the business and government up here. And, it's like people will say that, the government needs to run like a business. Well, if you look at most all the politicians up there, they're all successful businessmen. And, the reason it is this way is because they've intended it to be this way. And the reason is, the government likes to have welfare, because when people receive welfare, it makes you, a slave back to the government. But, it's good to get concerned and involved with your government and a vote, but at the same time, you can't worry about things that you can't change. And, no matter what hand is dealt to you, you have to just, go live your own life. Now, we're told that America is a free market capitalist country, and I do not think we are a free market capitalist country. You can look at any market or pretty much any aspect of your life, and the government has a hand in it somewhere. Whether you're talking about the stock market, bond market, labor markets, the government can go in and do whatever they want to the stock market or any financial market with the President's Working Group on Financial Markets that Ronald Reagan had signed. I think it was 87 or 88. And the labor markets are manipulated with illegal immigration. If you look at the stock market, the big banks and financial houses can get in and out of the market faster than you can. They have their own computers there, and they can get in and out of the market within fractions of a second. I mean, even though you can get on your own computer and get in and out of the market pretty fast, they can still do it faster than you can. And that's pretty much the way the game's always been played. But I don't think we're socialist, but I don't think we're capitalist either. I'd say we're somewhere in between. Even when you look at money itself, the government has the right in printing money. And I think it was J.P. Morgan that was quoted as saying that, give me the power of the printing press and I care not who makes the laws. And, he's basically saying all the power was in money, which it is. I mean, you can work your whole life and save up money, and that physical money that's in your pocket or that's in your bank account, that's your own personal property. But, the government, contains the right to determine what the value of that money is going to be. The money that's in your pocket is not much different than owning stock, that the value of it goes up and down on a daily basis. And you can look that up by just looking at the USDX. And if one day, if the government prints up so much money that your money becomes worthless, that its value goes to near zero, then, there's nothing you can do about that, other than, maybe owning gold, something that can't be run off a printing press, or owning physical property. And when you look back through history, you'll see that there's a depression about every 75 years. And that's where, again, this system, these people here at the top, the elite, have these people down here, the masses, work their whole life to accumulate something. And then they cause a depression. These people down here at the bottom lose everything they have. The people at the top, they'll come and buy it all up, pennies on the dollar. And when you go back, you can research a lot of the depressions and stuff, and they just didn't happen. They were intentionally caused by these people. The government and big banks can cause a boom or a bust in the economy at any time. All they have to do is lend out a bunch of credit real loosely. That can cause a big boom. And then all they have to do is contract credit all of a sudden, and that can cause a bust or a recession or a depression. And they have the power to do that. You've heard people say there's two things you don't talk about, which are politics and religion. And I somewhat agree with that in the sense of I've just kind of found it pointless to argue with people because there's not always a right or wrong. That, I can be right from my point of view and they can be right from their point of view. And I just find that, my time is better spent either making money or going out and doing something fun that I want to do, instead of arguing with someone that, we're not going to change each other's minds. So as far as government goes, go vote, go be part of your government. But, the system is somewhat rigged. And, maybe I can't change this, but, I can change myself. And, I try not to worry about things that are outside of my control. And, just get up each day and, live your own life.